Question though.
Hmm?
When the turnip baby shows up at your island, do you always buy turnips every Sunday or
The turnip baby.
I mean, she's a baby.
Yeah.
She got snot coming out of her nose and everything.
Hi everyone, we're the Emperor Smile Podcast, here to brighten your day. This is Amy, aka Wi-Fi Daily.
This is Cali, aka dailyjiangcheng.
And this is Ruki, aka Bluetooth Daily.
So today's topic is LGBT representation and what it means to us. But because we're an MDZS podcast, we're going to talk about what MDZS means to us in terms of that.
Heck yeah.
Yes.
So, as you know how it is, most shows and or stories and whatnot, you know, they usually don't cater to LGBT because homophobia and all that jazz. So I'm used to just making my own content, you know? So when I saw MDZS, like, all throughout my timeline, and everyone was, like, going, like, oh, they're husbands, they have a son. I'm just like, you mean, like, they're actually husbands and they actually have a son? Or it's just like, oh, that fan content where they ship them and they have a son, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when I actually read the novel and everything, and I looked at everything afterwards, I'm like, holy shit, they're married and have a son.
Not false advertising.
I was very happy about that because I honest to God wasn't expecting it. And during the time I was getting in there, like, I was just getting fed so much MDZS content. So much.
Yeah, you made it during the peak.
Yeah, I was in the peak of it, and it was so good to see just them being husbands and living their best lives after everything they've been through. Like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just better than, like, what I'm used to, like, getting, like, maybe a tiny breadcrumb from another show or whatever. Like, this just gave me a full course meal.
Yeah, we're gonna be so spoiled with it now.
Yeah.
My fucking, like, expectations for, like, LGBT will never be the same.
Yeah, it's like, but they're not actually married, so what's the point?
So what's the point? Like, fuck bury your gays. Fucking bury your gay and then bring him back.
Bring him back and give him a happily ever after.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
For me, you know, also as a gay person, it made me really happy to see characters like me in that sense.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the main character's gay, but, like, he's not one-dimensional. It's not just about that. He's so much more. He's made his mistakes. It's not the typical trope of a gay man being villainized because he's gay.
Yeah.
But he's villainized because of all the murder he did, you know? Like...
Like, it isn't, like, one of those bad written novels where it's just, like, gay character's main focus is just to be gay, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's more to them than, like, who they like. It's more like they have story in there, and it's just a bonus that, hey, Wang Wenji likes Wei Wuxian because, you know, Wei Wuxian brightened his day or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, like, a typical crushy shit.
I feel like I've seen a lot of people in the fandom, like, judge how it's written, how Wei Wuxian kind of falls in love. But I really appreciate that because it is a very, I guess, to me, it was a kind of realistic depiction of, like, well, I've never thought about touching a dick before, but it's Lan Wenji's. Like, he is...
Yes, it's like he's got to think about it.
It's a pretty realistic feeling of just, like, I didn't think about this before ever, but, you know, I'm open to it, and showing Wei Wuxian's open-mindedness, at least in the English translation.
There's also the sense that back in his previous life, he didn't really have time to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he couldn't focus on his love life or whatever, considering that he states he died a virgin and all that shit. Because he was so busy, wrapped up with the Jiangs, with the war, with being the Yiling patriarch and the Wens and everything. He didn't have time for that. And even during that, even if he did make a little time, he thought Wang Wenji hated him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, why is he gonna think about a dude that he thinks that he hates his guts?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna crush over someone that looks like they hate me, so, like, what the fuck's the point?
You know he definitely still crushed on him, though, a little bit.
Oh, no, he probably still crushed hard, but he didn't think...
He wasn't pursuing it.
Yeah, he was like, maybe Lan Wenji doesn't like me, so it's best not to pursue it, but I can still make fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
I can still be that kind of gay.
Something else that's pretty important to me about Modazushi, too, is that Lan Wenji and Wei Wuxian are both 35-year-old men.
Yes.
And so it's really nice, for once, This is like the first fandom I've been in where the main characters are all adults.
Oh yeah, it's very refreshing.
They are all of age, actually way older than me, which is so refreshing. And they're not like high schoolers, not dramatic teenagers. They've gone through their shit, they've lived their lives, they've found out what they wanted to do, and they are still discovering more and more things that will make them happy, or things to do, things to explore, things to solve. And that gives me a little bit of hope about, like, my own future. It's not over yet. There's still an adventure to be had. And sometimes, waiting until you're 35 for your long lost love to come back from the dead, that might not be too bad,
Yeah.
So not only the fact that the main characters are gay, but the fact that they are both old. They're both old men. Not old men, but like adults.
Mature enough.
Yeah, older than me.
It's just very refreshing because then we don't have to like deal with that usual shit where it's just like, oh, they're young, blah blah blah. It's like they're adults, they can have fun, whatever.
Yeah, they're adults and they discuss some adult topics and stuff, and they deal with things in a pretty mature way. So I appreciate that.
For me, what I like about Model Sushi's LGBT representation is how, like, most other kind of BL series and stuff, the majority of them are placed in like modern settings and stuff, like high school or like whatever. And I mean, there's more where the main characters are adults now, but all those mainly focus with the romance part being at the forefront rather than where in Model Zushi we do play up the whole Wangshan thing, but the truth is that in the actual novel it's more of a on the side romance. So I like that it doesn't make the romance part like a whole huge deal or whatever, and also that it's a series that also involves action and adventure, and like, not that there's anything wrong with the ones that are placed in modern settings and stuff, but with all this more action and fancy elements and everything, it just adds more complex layers that make it seem that it's definitely more than just, oh, they're gay. And like, there's a whole lot more to them. And also just the fact that there are more series that are starting to do similar things like Model Zushi is, but like Model Zushi is the one that's gotten like so many different adaptations and animation, the manhwa, and all that, so that it's becoming more of a big thing that people realize that, oh, it's not just two guys fucking each other. It's like they're going through a journey. There's like murder, there's mystery. It can have so much more to it than just like two guys liking each other. So
more of like the romance is just kind of like a side thing to the main story. The main story is a lot more complex and deep. It's not centered around these two. I mean, it kind of is, but not in the sense that you would get in the usual stuff. Like, oh, these two people are trying to like get together, but one keeps denying, that bullshit. It's more of just like, hey, there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of scheming and like killing and murder and, mystery, and them being like a couple is kind of like part of it, but
it's nice because that stuff happens in real life. Like, things get in the way all the time. Life gets in the way.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's not always just a story centered around romance. There is, even in everyday life, adventure, action, things that are happening, and it's not always about another person. I do also appreciate that it is kind of a subplot, but the story definitely wouldn't be the same without it.
Yeah.
The whole reason that Lan Wonju recognized Wei Wuxian is that in episode 2, he played Wangshan. That cannot be, there is no hetero explanation for that. It's just...
like, that is a vital key. Like, he recognized the song that he made for his crush.
Yeah, and it was, it's so essential to the story, but at the same time, the romance is still a subplot, but not a plot that you can just write off as just added on. It's intertwined, and I really appreciate the writing about like how that was written into the story too.
Like, even in the Untamed, when they had to get rid of the romance, you could still see that they very much care for each other.
There was still no hetero explanation for that.
Still no hetero explanation for any of that.
I wrote a song for my arch nemesis. And I played it to him in the cave.
I sleep with this picture on my bedside at night so I can look at him before I sleep. My arch nemesis.
I think the thing with like quite a part of the fandom that might have the idea where like the romance is a big thing is just because that it's so rare to have a married gay couple as part of the
Mhm.
in a series. So then the fandom kind of like exaggerates it. Well, not exaggerate, but they bring it out more because it's just we don't see that often. So then some people may think that, oh, it's romance is like the biggest thing of Moda Zushi, but it's not. It's just that
We're proud of it.
yeah.
Yeah, the fact that people like kind of focus more on the romance is just because we've never have that in media or in content. So like we can finally relish in a fact that, hey, this novel actually has canonical characters and, you know, it's representation. It's made for us. So we can enjoy it as much as we like.
I feel like with most fandom stuff, people always latch onto ships, whether or not they're canonical. So
Yeah,
that's true.
of course, like Callie was saying, from the outside looking in, you're just like, is that just the fans or is this real? Because there's always fans who are like, yeah, it's totally canon, but it's not canon. But
no.
Yeah.
Wang Shen is canon, and so the vernacular just gets kind of confusing, the language and all that. But yeah, they are canon, and so
Yeah, Wang Xian are just off being husbands, doing their own thing with a donkey and a son.
yeah.
Yep.
Fandom's never a good way to judge, but I think in general, yeah, people do latch onto that romance because it's rare to see, in general, older characters who are adults, characters who are gay and married, and a character who has deeply fucked up but still gets his happy ending.
Yeah.
So I think that's three things that people really like to see, and that is three things that Wang Chen are. So.
It's very good.
Are we ready to move on to the audience questions?
Yes.
Yes.
On a sort of similar topic, this audience question sent in by Anon, thank you. What topic could you talk about for hours? Have you ever had a PowerPoint presentation meetup with friends in which everyone prepares a PowerPoint presentation about their obscure passions and uses it to introduce to the rest of the group?
Do people really do that?
Yeah.
I can say, no, I've never done that, but
Nope.
I do have a topic I can talk about for hours, and I'm gonna veto talking about Modazushi because that's all we do on this podcast. If you have a different topic, let's discuss those.
Just stuff we can talk about for hours.
Yeah.
Well, I can talk a lot about cartoons, and I mean cartoons in all the sense, like old cartoons like Betty Boop and like old-timey ones. I can also talk about cartoons that are now, like Steven Universe and Tangled the Series. I've been talking a lot about Tangled the Series. Tangled the Series is good.
Yeah.
But I can go on and on and on just about cartoons because I love cartoons. I love the styles. I love the animations and just everything about it. There's really no reason, like specific reason, like, oh, it's because of this person, blah, blah, blah. No, I just like them. They make me happy.
I could probably talk a lot about astronomy. I feel like I've done that by accident, but I really like stars in general, and so I've looked up a lot about constellations. I haven't like taken myth classes and stuff, but I do like looking them up and learning about those things, talking about my experiences stargazing. It's like usually my go-to whenever my friends say that they want to visit me in person one day, I'll be like, let's go stargaze in my backyard. That's always the first thing I say. Other than that, I think I can also talk a lot about like my OCs, like my original stories too.
Yeah.
Not even just my original stories, probably like about my fanfic stories too. Because I really like coming up with stories and like bouncing those ideas off of people. And so if people are willing to listen and I'm willing to spoil it and know that they won't steal my ideas, then I'll talk about it for hours. The intricacies of how something works, a magic system that I came up with, or story ideas, like I want this thing to happen in the plot somewhere over here, but I'm not sure exactly when, and then so I'll go on and on about it. So I really like coming up with stories and trying to figure those out, and I like talking about those things with others.
Nice. Yeah, I can understand that. Astronomy is very nice to talk about.
Yeah. Stars are cool.
Stars are hella cool.
It's always the coolest thing to like be able to point out in the sky where your horoscope is. I don't really believe in astrology, not that, but astrology, yeah. It's like fake stars. No, astronomy is the real shit. It's still fun to point out where your horoscopes and zodiac signs are in the sky.
A topic I can talk about for hours. Food?
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
Food is good.
Food and Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yeah, I remember you've talked my ear off about Pokemon.
Oh, bro, that's another thing. Fucking add that to the list. Pokemon. I fucking love that. I grew up with that. I fucking know everything and anything about Pokemon. Not into the new region, but I know most. But I will soon inhale that knowledge of the new region.
Plus,
I fucking love Pokemon.
I've like watched all of the anime except for like Black and White. So
you haven't watched the Black and White anime?
It was. I watched all the other seasons, but listen.
Black and White was a Unova region,
but
right?
Listen, the game for Black and White may have been good, but listen.
Wait.
Listen, the anime.
Are we talking about the one where Ash goes to Unova and fucking like goes around with that one Butler Gym guy and Iris?
Yeah, that one.
That one isn't shit. That's my favorite version. Are you fucking serious?
That was the only one that I couldn't get through.
Bro, that was my favorite one. That was the only one I could get through. I love that dude. I love fucking Green Butler guy and Iris. What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, I hated Iris.
And Meloetta? Dude!
This is so out of context for me. I love Pokemon. I don't know anything past Hoenn.
I didn't mind.
How fucking dare you diss on the fucking anime version Black and White? I'll fucking kill you. It was my favorite. Like the songs and everything, dude.
There were songs?
The openings, I mean, like it's fucking good.
Those were okay, but like that was like one of the seasons where Ash was like the stupidest, and also like, and I didn't really like Iris that much. And then
Ruki.
To be fair, Ash is pretty dang stupid in the new one too.
He's stupid in everyone.
He's stupid in everyone, but listen, in Black and White, he was especially stupid.
No, he was not. You're just mean.
I watched all the other seasons, so I can say this.
No, he was not.
Like, the
Ruki, I swear to God.
I tried. I really tried to watch
That
it.
was literally the only one that I could get through from start to end and love it without finding it boring. What the fuck?
I watched well, I didn't stop because it was boring. I just stopped because it got annoying.
Annoying and or boring. How the fuck could you diss the only fucking anime version I like?
I feel like this is another topic. The animes that me and Ruki gave up on that Cali judges us for giving up on.
Yeah, Violet Evergarden is another one. I heard you gave up on that one when that one's good.
Yeah.
You guys just have shit taste.
Excuse me.
Well, the thing is, you said you would try to rewatch it, so I'm giving you props for that. But Ruki, you fucking coming at?
Listen, I really tried. I went in like 50 or 60 episodes, but then I just couldn't, okay? I couldn't.
That's a pretty good amount to go.
I gave it a try. I gave it an honest try. I'm sorry, I tried.
So this has been the Pokemon Corner. Obscurely passionate about Pokemon Black and White.
Listen, it was my favorite. I loved it so much. I fucking loved the story and everything.
The story was good. It's just that they were...
Listen, you just stopped watching it because Ash was annoying. Bitch, he's annoying in all of them. He's stupid as fuck.
Yeah, but then there was also Iris who's almost there like every episode, and then there was like other parts too.
Yeah, because she's part of the main crew. She follows Ash.
Yeah, I know. And there were other parts, but I can't remember because it's been like 5 years at least, but... But listen, I gave it a fucking try. I watched 50 or 60 episodes in, and then I stopped. So you can't.
I know. Listen. I'm not saying you didn't try, but I'm saying that you have shit taste. First Violet Evergarden, now this. You're fucking just coming at me, dude. You want to fight?
Kelly is just more and more disappointed with us every single day.
Well, actually, Violet Evergarden, I would have been okay with continuing, but Bella and Amy didn't.
It was my fault in the end.
Okay, so I'm not blaming you for Violet Evergarden anymore, but fucking Pokemon?
Guess what, Callie? Now you have to make an unusual PowerPoint presentation about why we should watch Pokemon Black and White.
Oh my god.
I think what I did like about it was that I think that was the season where, like, occasionally some of Ash's old Pokemon made, like, a return.
Yeah.
So I like that part.
They came for a cameo, dude, because they had to go to Kanto for a bit, I think.
Yeah. And also I don't know if it was Black and White, but there was a season where he brought back his old Pokemon during, like, a tournament. So that was cool.
Yeah, I think he did. What was that fucking gym leader that followed him? The green one. Butler guy. I forgot his name.
Sylvan Dent?
What was your favorite and you forgot his name?
Because it's been a hot while. It's been a long... Oh, it's Sylvan, yeah. It's been a long-ass time. He was my favorite, though. I love this bitch to death.
You don't remember his name?
It's been years, Amy. Let me rest.
He was like, oh my god, I know everything about wine and like, oh my god.
Okay.
It's been years.
He called himself a Pokemon connoisseur, however you pronounce it.
It seems like I would hate that guy.
Who?
Sylvan.
Don't fucking hate on my voice, Amy! Are you trying to get on my shit list again? Sylvan is fucking good. He literally is the only one that's keeping Ash alive with his fucking cooking, okay?
Honestly.
If you convince me enough, I'll watch White and Black too. Black and White.
Get the name right, Amy.
Get the fucking name right at least, you uncultured swine.
Look, the only one that I watched through its entirety is like the first season of Pokemon and Sun and Moon, so, which was a solid 100-something episodes.
Sylvan's fucking good, okay? I think he hates cats. He hates cats.
How dare he?
How dare he?
He's afraid of them, dude!
Okay, valid.
Hold on. I want to check something. How many episodes did I get through?
I got through all of them because I loved that. It was my favorite series to watch.
Yeah, 50. I watched 50 and then I stopped.
That's a pretty good amount to go through to decide.
Yeah.
It was 50 out of 84 episodes and I stopped.
You could have finished it though.
That's whole last 34 more episodes.
So?
That's longer than Violet Evergarden.
I watched the 191 episodes of Diamond and Pearl.
Diamond and Pearl was shit.
Yeah, it wasn't as great as the other ones, but...
I just mostly liked Ash and Kalos because he was a lot cooler in Kalos. He, like, his whole fucking setup, just everything he did, it was a lot more smarter and cooler. I liked that.
Yeah, that's what I liked about X, Y, and Z.
But then I saw Sun and Moon, and I'm like, what happened? He got dumb again.
Are you gonna be out here hating on my child, Sun and Moon?
Listen, Kalos is a lot cooler in Sun and Moon if you saw the anime.
Look, I didn't see it, so I'm not gonna say anything more about that.
Well, I mean, that's because in X, Y, Z, they were, like, more dire consequences, like, with that shit going on. But with Sun and Moon, it's just, like, chilling. So, of course, there's not gonna be as exciting.
So you went from, like, I have 3 brain cells, I am smarter than all of you, to a monkey brain back again.
You know, sometimes you just need that in life.
Okay, we're talking too much about Pokemon.
Okay, do you guys want to move on to the mindfulness one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a water break. Damn, we really did watch 146 episodes of Pokemon Sun and Moon on the weekly, huh?
Yep.
I stopped watching Sun and Moon after a period because I was not because I didn't want to keep going, but because I was caught up with it, and I eventually I forgot about it. So now I have a whole entire anime to watch. The Litten never evolved to be that Bara cat, though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was near the end. I think.
God damn it, he should have stayed small.
He should have.
Now he's a bara cat, and furries love him. Do you think they ever went through that thing where, like, people wanted to adopt Litten and they couldn't, and, like, they had to go through, like, strict protocol because they probably had cases where, like, furries wanted him?
Damn. What the fuck?
Listen, there are fucked up people out there, dude.
Yeah, but we don't touch that subject. We don't go there.
Sometimes we have to.
No, we don't. We don't have to. We absolutely do not. Okay. Ruki, anytime you're ready, take it away.
One mindful moment goes a long way. I'm going to be covering a breath counting exercise. It's pretty simple. It's just a little meditation thingy to help calm yourself and strengthen your focus and attention. So, what you want to do is sit in a comfortable position. Keep your back and spine straight. You can incline your head slightly forward. Gently close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Then let the breath come naturally without trying to influence it. Ideally, you would want your breaths to be quiet and slow, but it's okay if your breaths are differing in depth and rhythm, just as long as you're breathing without trying to influence your breath. So to begin the exercise, count 1 to yourself as you exhale. Inhale. The next time you exhale, count 2. And then 3 when you exhale again. Inhale. 4 when you exhale. Inhale. And 5 when you exhale. When you reach 5, you want to begin a new cycle, and you start with 1 again when you exhale again. So, inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. So basically the point is that you shouldn't be counting higher than 5, and that you should only be counting when you exhale. So you know when you've diverted your attention or focus when you find yourself counting a number that's higher than 5. So try to keep focused and remember to only breathe up to 5 and then begin a new cycle. So this breath counting exercise, you can do it for like 10 minutes or 5 minutes, maybe even just 1. It's just a way for you to focus your breathing and practice tuning in your attention. And that's it for this mindfulness moment.
Nice.
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 Nice. All right. Thank you for joining us for the 19th episode of Emperor's Smile podcast. If you have any more questions, suggestions, comments for mindfulness moments, topics, and other audience questions that we can answer on the episode, please send them to our Curious Cat inbox, curiouscat.me/empsmilecast. You can also send your questions and suggestions to the suggestion channel on our Discord. That's linked in the video description below and also pinned on our Twitter at empsmilecast. I think that's all.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing a laugh with us.
We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Be safe, but do crimes also.
Bye.